In a world with only hot takes,
Two college friends try to cool down sports media.
join Jack and Jared every week as they tackle the biggest stories in the NFL.
And give the reasonable football analysis you won't hear anywhere else.
Welcome to 710 Sports.
Welcome back to episode 30 of 710 Sports with
Jack.
and Jared. Thanks for joining us after championship weekend of the NFL season. Yes, that's right. We're down to the final two. The Philadelphia Eagles will be facing the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl 2 weeks from now. We're going to go over the two big championship games, what happened, where the Bengals and the 49ers went wrong, and then we'll be talking about some general season awards, some typical ones like MVP, but also some of our own fun spin-off awards that we'd like to give, like most embarrassing moment, etc. First of all, Jack, how you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing as well as I can. After those championship games, I gotta say, left a bit disappointed. I was kind of looking forward to that all week. I was looking forward to that 49ers Eagles game more than any game I'd look forward to in a hot minute in a while. And the other game was definitely better. Just teams having their quarterbacks as a minimum. Having a quarterback in the game does make it a bit more interesting. Not my favorite games. I'll be honest, not my favorite games.
Yeah, we'll have a full breakdown here. We'll just kind of jump right into it. But I guess we'll start with the earlier game. Yeah, and kind of work through 49ers. They get blown out 31-7. The Eagles just kind of really put it to them. To be fair, Brock Purdy was injured pretty early in the game, and they had to bring in Josh Johnson. Josh Johnson proceeds to get injured, concussed, ruled out, blue tent style. And at that point, it was basically down to the running back or the fullback, McCaffrey or Juszczyk, on the depth chart at QB. So we had and we didn't really see them take the full mantle of the backup QB, the emergency QB, because basically Purdy came in and didn't throw the ball for an entire half. And that was sort of the end of the story.
And we then learn afterwards that he has a torn UCL, which is a season-ending, potentially next season-ending injury as well.
Right.
Definitely not the sort of injury you want. He threw a screen or two, I think. But yeah, pretty much they were pretty much quarterbackless for the second half. And I mean, for the first half, they had Brock Purdy for like half of a drive, until the play where he fumbled, the weird thing where the ball got shot up in the air. That, and he got hurt on that. That was it. That was that one drive. Other than that, you had Josh Johnson, fourth string quarterback. I would say 49ers legend, but really, is there a team he hasn't been on? I mean, this dude is not good. He is not good, which is, frankly, I can't blame the 49ers that much because this dude's their fourth string quarterback.
Yeah.
Their fourth string quarterback comes in. And then their fourth string dude gets hurt. They ran through four quarterbacks in a season, right? By the last game of their season, they had they had no more quarterbacks. They used four who could no longer play games in the season. Obviously, if there were more games, Josh Johnson could have came back. It was only quote unquote a concussion, but that. I mean, that's gonna be that for me. That makes this game like a write-off. I'll be honest. I mean, at the very least, anything, any interactions between the two teams, which is the entirety of the game, pretty much. But anything like that, it's hard to really, I don't know. It's a point. I mean, I don't know much to say. I'm gonna pass it to you because it was just a really sinking feeling watching that game transpire. I turned it off by the third quarter. When the third quarter was almost done, I turned it off. I was
just couldn't bear to see. You just couldn't bear to see your perfect bracket fall apart in front of you.
I mean that. So yeah, also because it was the first game, so I got to see it. It broke immediately. But I mean, it also just it wasn't good football. In the 1940s, quarterbacks were more of a threat than they were this game for the 49ers. Because what? You're going to have Brock Purdy, broken arm, not literally like no arm. You're going to have him scramble around. He's not like Jalen Hurts. He's not like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. He's not a mobile quarterback. Like even in the 40s, quarterbacks are more of an offensive threat than the 49ers had this game. For me, that makes it like that throws everything out the window for me.
Yeah, I guess if we want to, we can stick to the 49ers.
We can delve deeper if we want.
And then I want to, because I do want to give the
Eagles. We want to talk about the Eagles. Yes, but that's true. Okay, but we will. Yeah.
But if we're here, we might as well crack this open. To a certain extent, it's like, oh no, once again, the bad luck bear sort of strikes the 49ers. How many injuries can you possibly have over and over again? And just get this unlucky, but is it unluck? Like, is it just unluckiness? I mean, is there some sort of massive institutional failure happening within the 49ers organization? Because if you go back, you can look at, the amount of the injury numbers that are out there. And
I mean, the Trey Lance injury was silly. Like I remember that. The fact they were calling that, yeah.
PFF, like they have some numbers, and the NFL usually runs an end of year report, basically saying like the most injured impacted teams. So there's like certain statistics. I think PFF calls it a war adjusted injuries lost. So there's some numbers out there, but if you go and look over the last 8 to 10 years, the 49ers have been in the top 10 most injured teams like every single season for like a decade.
Which is more than random. Yeah, that's much more than random chance.
And you say, okay, so they overhauled like 3 years ago. They overhauled the strength and conditioning coaches, all the coaching staff in regards to that, and that hasn't seemed to make much of a difference at all. You still have these issues at QB, but it's also like early in the season. Some of their struggles were from injuries on the defense. And so when they were going out there and they were struggling against the Falcons, they were not at 100%. And that's why I didn't really see them being that competitive long term, but they were just very, very injured. But that seems like it's like that every year. I think last year they were in the 2020 injury impact meta-analysis by the NFL. They were ranked dead last. So most injured. Last year, PFF ranked them, I think, dead last, like most injured last year. And so, like, to a certain extent, it is bad luck to have 4 QBs injured. But also, if you know that this is a problem and you're already on your 3rd string, like, why is your 4th string why is your 4th string Josh Johnson, and why does he seem so unprepared? It just seemed like he was not ready to play, but you're the backup. You're supposed to be ready to play. So maybe it's on him. Maybe it's a little bit on the 49ers, but also Jimmy G is basically telling reporters that he could be ready for the Super Bowl. There's quote from Jimmy G is like, all I can't do is sprint on my foot right now. That's the only thing that's like, I cannot like full on sprint on it, which obviously if you can't sprint on your foot, you probably don't want to go play tackle football. And I understand that, but they don't even have this guy padded up. They don't even have this guy padded up and activated and ready to go. When you have these problems with injuries, I don't know. It's something that the 49ers should really start to look at. I don't know. Just, something's got to change, right? I don't know.
You're 100% right that they had 3 quarterbacks get season-ending injuries. If Brock Purdy got this injury week 1, if for some reason he was starting week 1, he would have been out the rest of the season. He would have been the entire season. He would have been out maybe the start of next season, depending on his recovery timeline, depending on exactly what the tear looks like. Like 3 season-ending injuries in one season. Close. I remember. Like only thing I remember close to that. When you start getting that down bad for quarterbacks, I remember the Patriots. There was the season Jimmy G started some games for the Patriots way back when, where Brady was hurt. They put in Jimmy G. Jimmy G gets hurt as per usual. But he's played a lot of his career on the Niners. And then Jacoby Brissett comes in, classic Jacoby Brissett Patriots. And he starts a couple games. Like like that was the joke. Like we would joke, sports radio would joke, my dad and I would joke, if Brissett gets hurt, they got to put in Julian Edelman at quarterback because he played it in college. Like, right. Because it was ridiculous, right? That was the joke, because like that would be so ridiculous if they lose another quarterback. And the Niners did it. The Niners lost 3 season-ending injuries on the season, and then their 4th gets hurt again. It would normally be a couple games, like he would have been out a couple of games, even if there were a couple more games.
Yeah.
That is a sign, like that. Plus the stats you just named, it does feel like a sign of a systemic thing.
And maybe it's something about,
can't just be chance.
Something about the way that the the players the front office acquire. Yeah, you know what? They didn't draft Jimmy G. They went and got Jimmy G. Right now, he had a small history prior to coming to San Francisco, but it included injuries. They went and got Christian McCaffrey, who happened to not be injured since he's come to San Francisco, but he's only been played there for 10 or 12 games, and he has an injury history. You got to wonder if maybe they say to themselves, "Hey, we'll take a player that has that."
They're not worried about
history, and they're not worried about it. And then it continues to bite them. Something I'd have to look into more in terms of the free agents that they're signing and stuff. Yeah. But I'm right off the bat, I see 2 right there offensively. Certainly McCaffrey. I said that. I said McCaffrey's probably just going to get hurt. Like as soon as they trade for him, I was like,
you said that.
But it makes sense culturally.
But because you said it, it didn't happen.
Right.
It did not happen.
You can take me, Christian. But
yeah. I mean, we probably move to the Eagles. I feel like there's 2 things to talk about. We can do the pro Eagles, which I will also participate in. I know I've not been as hot on them. I will also participate. I like Jalen Hurts, right? I'll be rooting for them in the Super Bowl. Whether I'm going to predict them or not, we'll see. But I'll be rooting for them over the Chiefs. But I mean, I also feel like there's a big negative side. I feel like there's a big, or not, maybe negative's a strong. You know what? No. I see the face you're making. Negative is a strong word. I overspoke. Non-positive.
Okay.
Let's say that. Non-positive. A more of a, that more, like there's the positive I would talk about this game, about the Eagles, and there's the Eagles as we didn't really see. Like there wasn't, of how much have we seen? What can we make? What conclusions can we glean from this game? Okay. For me, that's the 2. That's the 2.
Let's hear it.
Do you want to start on positive? Do you want to start on positive, or do you want to end on that? Oh, I got to start on positive. Wait a second. I got to check my notes. I mean, for one thing, that first they when Josh Johnson was in there, they really did like. And this kind of might get to the thing you were saying about the preparedness. About he didn't look prepared. I had the thought they would have had him relatively prepared, because the Eagles defense, I mean, they continue to show how dominant that defensive line is. Their receivers kept getting open, like on the offense, just to start the game. Some of that there's the weird thing that the catch, that wasn't a catch, or there's, Jalen Hurts overthrew or stuff like that. But their outside receivers on these street routes were getting open. They were getting straight up open, which is dangerous, right? Like it's a dangerous thing if you're playing the Eagles. Other positives this game. I mean, that's right. The thing with Josh Johnson. I gotta circle back. That like we've said it all season. The 49ers have with the scheme. It's a relatively simple offense. I feel like in the sense for a quarterback, not simple. I don't mean that in a negative way, but in the sense of like you would expect with all the talent on that offense that a backup quarterback would be able to step in and look relatively competent.
Right. It's
I would say
the
Chiefs. Yeah, I'd say the Chiefs came in last week against the Jaguars, and a team I would say has less offensive talent outside of Mahomes. I think it's fair to say has less offensive talent. And Chad Henne came in, 36-year-old or whatever. Chad Henne came in and led a 96-yard touchdown drive, and. Like, which is just to say, backups can work even in systems that I feel like are less yards after catch, run game, sort of friendly, like the 49ers. So the fact that the Eagles, I do think, shut that down, unless, like we were saying earlier, there was some weird coaching thing for the Niners, which maybe there was with like Josh Johnson not being ready, so on. And not that he's ever been all that good, but still, like, I would have expected them to get a bit more. Like, just with the talent, even like with Josh Johnson, like I would have thought that their backup would be able to be enough of a game manager to show something, but the Eagles didn't let them. So that's why big kudos definitely to the Eagles defense. And yeah, some of the stuff I said earlier, I'm more curious to hear your takes on this.
Well, here's what I'll say. Listen, the quarterback issues, certainly I'm not expecting the 49ers to win, especially once their fourth string QB, goes out in the playoff game, right? I'm not really because how are they supposed to score? Which they didn't really, right? So I guess I'm going to look more on just the Philadelphia offensive side against the best defense in the league, right? Well, they scored 31, right? And some of that is on, a fumble by Josh Johnson late in the first half that gave them a short field position, but you still got to punch it in, right? And really in that first half, take out the QB issues, Philadelphia had their first drive that looked like perfect. They made the San Francisco 49ers defense look like butter. I mean, they cut through it, right? And they drove down. I thought that the offense looked really good. Obviously, the Devontae Smith hurry-up TD that was not a catch, but these things happen. Kyle Shanahan should have challenged that, but he did not. The Eagles hurried up. That's sort of a gamesmanship thing. But I thought that they looked good on that first drive. After that, it really slowed down. I mean, the San Francisco defense really buckled down, and the Eagles didn't seem to be doing a whole lot, right? And then right before the end of the half, the Eagles had a drive that they really kind of grinded it out. They weren't doing anything spectacular, but Jalen Hurts was kind of taking what they gave him. They were running a little bit. They certainly got help by penalties on San Francisco, on holding, pass interference, stuff like that. And so they basically were able to really sort of have a nice and gritty drive to go up 14-7. And then I was like, okay, that we've seen it a couple different ways now in this first half, how they can score on these drives. I'm feeling pretty comfortable, especially considering what's going on at QB for San Fran. And then it just broke open when the fumble happened. And then it was basically, that was it. Right. Yeah. And then he's out and then it's over. Right. So it was I think to a certain extent, I mean, obviously it's over once Josh Johnson gets hurt, but to a certain extent, that fumble, San Fran is supposed to come back from down 14 at that point, even with Brock Purdy. That's not
even with Purdy, it's hard.
That's not
an easy comeback,
right? So I guess Brock Purdy probably wouldn't have fumbled a snap like that, but he is still a third string QB. So I don't know. I liked what I saw in the first half out of the Eagles, and I'm not gonna, I don't want to penalize them too much because just they've been the best all season, so they get favorable matchups. They get a bye. They get a favorable matchup in the divisional round, and then it happens. San Fran, they had injuries, that's San Fran for you, right? So they played who they play. They don't make up the schedule. So I don't know. That's how I feel about it. So what's your more neutral take about the Eagles?
What's my more neutral take? And this is where it's not negative towards them, but it's more just I feel like I can't really get much out of this game. And I can't get much out of this game. I mean, for the obvious reason, we kind of talked a bit, but to go into detail, I mean, it's not like their defense had to do all that much. I mean, like what we saw, they were able to shut down elite Josh Johnson, which I say that sarcastically, but there can be something there because maybe we would have expected him to be ready, but it's not like that's like he's not a starter. He's a fourth string dude. So I can't really get much there. But, I mean, the first drive with Purdy, that kind of forced fumble-y thing, whatever that, I remember the play and they challenged it. Well, a good challenge and so on. But after that, Purdy's out. And then for me at that point, I can't make much of their defense. I mean, they were able because I mean, think about it. Normally when a team has a quarterback, does not have a quarterback, it is hard for them to win. The Patriots did it against the Bills, right? They had Mac Jones throw 3 times. But what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to I can't congratulate the Eagles on being better than the Bills defense from last year, the defense that gave up a field goal in 13 seconds, right? In the AFC divisional. I can't I can't really think too much about that. And offensively, And I said there were some positives, and I did, and I do mean it. And the receiving threats look good, and I've liked Jalen Hurts all season, right? And like I said earlier, I'm rooting for them. I don't want to seem too negative, but a lot of their drives were extended on, well, that catch that should have been challenged. I agree that it should have been challenged. And if I was the coach, I would have challenged it. But I don't blame them too much from the standpoint of I feel like the refs have to shut down stuff, shut some things down more, especially when that's a tough catch to make. I would have said, okay, call it one way, and then the refs can initiate reviews, I thought, on their own. I would have preferred that, because that was on a fourth down. It wasn't like that was a third down. Maybe they go for it. Maybe they punt. That was a fourth down. That I think's big to extend that drive. There were other drives. They had a drive extended with a roughing the punter. I think I'm not mixing up games. A roughing the punter that probably should have been running into the punter or something, which would have been a difference of a free first down. I felt like there were some ticky-tacky calls called on the Bengals defense. Of course, some of that 49ers are genuine because that's what I meant to say. Yeah, on the 49ers defense, called against the 49ers, which some of that I'm sure is real, and it is real that they were playing. They had to play a bit harder, right? Because they're like, wait, we have no quarterback. We have to play our hearts out. But even before, there was this even before Josh Johnson got hurt, I felt like there were some ticky tacky calls, and you kind of mentioned it too. There's a pass interference. There's some stuff I don't have it all written down, but they just had a lot of drives where it'd be okay. They fail a third down, but then they have 5-yard defensive holding that wouldn't have really mattered. That gives them a new first down. Or there were just a fair amount of calls that I'm sure you can call, but I wasn't a big fan of the officiating. It didn't mean anything, right? The Eagles were going to win it because the Eagles, even I would have said with a quarterback, I like the 49ers more. I called them, but I'm not such a hater that I'm going to say that the Eagles aren't better than a Josh Johnson 49ers team, even if he was in the whole game. They're 100%, 110. Even someone who was rooting for the 49ers, obviously, obviously they're better. So the reffing didn't really matter. I don't really care. But just a lot of those drives, a lot of what we saw in offense, a lot of those points were extended based on penalties. And which is part of the game. But
to touch on that, the problem I see with that, which I've been saying for a while now, is that it's the inconsistency that's the problem. This game was officiated incredibly tight. That's the difference. If you had a little bit of a hold at the top of a route, they were calling that in this game. Okay, you've got to adjust as a team and understand that this crew tonight is doing that. We saw it 2 weeks ago. They let the cornerbacks, the Chargers cornerbacks, jam up and hit and play tough and hand fight with the Jags receivers, and it punched them in the mouth for a quarter. Right? They let them play. We can argue whichever one we'd like to see more. Obviously, I think we all agree we'd like to let them play a little bit more, as you were saying. We don't want ticky-tacky calls, but they were calling them. Now, I'm sure that there's plenty of instances where where the Eagles players could have been called probably as well. But to be fair, were there? I mean, like we said, they're on their fourth string QB.
I mean, at that point,
how much is happening?
How many deep developing? Yeah, how many? Yeah, exactly. How many deep developing routes are and that's why I could see, and that's why this game I'm not really upset. Like if Brock Purdy wasn't hurt, and I felt like there was officiating inconsistencies, I would have really dwelled on and been about that. But the game was over after the first drive. Not that the Eagles aren't not that they aren't good. Yes, they've had an extremely easy path beating a Giants team who by coincidence was looking at this in the Madden ratings. Of course, the premier rating of football teams. The Giants were the second to last team below only the Texans. I mean, above only the Texans. They actually had a worse ranked offense than the Texans. They literally had a worse offense than the Houston Texans.
Yeah, but
before the season,
they didn't know about Daboll.
We would have guessed that too. They didn't know about Daboll.
They didn't
but
know
really,
about Daboll.
I mean, really, and apparently I didn't know about Daboll either because I think when we did a prediction, I think I predicted them to go 3-14 or something.
Yeah, likewise.
And you're So it's more just that's the one thing. And again, like I said, I will be rooting for them in the Super Bowl, but they've had an easy path, which isn't their fault. Like you said, they don't make the schedule. If they had an easy schedule, they're going to get the 1 seed. Of course, they're going to play an easier team like the Giants. in the divisional round because because they won all their games, but so on. Anyway,
yeah,
that's a lot on the Eagles.
We'll definitely talk about the Eagles more and the 49ers certainly in the offseason, but Eagles next week going into the Super Bowl. But let's just get to the other big game here. I'm sure we got plenty on it as well. Chiefs versus Bengals. Basically, I don't have I think the final score is 23-20.
Yes,
23-20. Chiefs win with a last-second field goal. And it sort of really was a bit of a grinder at the end of the game. Not as many points scored that I would have originally thought. I think I had 27-30. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Do you want me to start with some the in-game analysis?
Yeah. I think you, sir. I felt like I talked a lot last time.
Yeah. So I'll start with the Bengals. Right. They don't look too hot to start this game, and I remember I was messaging you that this is looking a lot like last year's Bengals team where the O-line is literally crumbling in seconds. I mean, the first couple of drives between the crowd noise and the pressure from Kansas City, I said, there's no way that the Bengals will ever be able to move the ball. I mean, just because literally Joe Burrow is getting 2 seconds, maybe 3 seconds, and there's a guy in his face, there's a guy to his left, like where the O-line is just evaporating, right? So it looked really bad.
Zero first quarter yards.
Right, zero first quarter yards, right? Meanwhile, Kansas City moved the ball pretty well, but they actually got held to 2 field goals.
Yeah,
and so
don't break.
Yeah, and so right off the bat, I felt like it was sort of ripe for a classic Bengals kind of stick around through the game, and then they strike and they get a couple of scores late, and they basically pull through here. And also the Chiefs were kind of lining up for them. The Chiefs had scored a TD. It was sort of close to the end of the half, 13-3, and the Chiefs got the ball back with about 3 minutes left around midfield because it had become a field position sort of battle.
Yeah,
and Kansas City proceeded to not do the old classic rule of thumb of run the ball and run the clock until you get a first down so that you don't leave a bunch of time for the other team if you go 3 and out. Nah, Kansas City decides to throw 3 incomplete passes in a row, and then they punt the ball back with 2 minutes and 3 timeouts to Joe Burrow at the end of the half. Now they're up 10, I understand, but where's the awareness here? Joe Burrow and the Bengals proceed to drive all the way down the field, and if there was 10 seconds extra, they would have had another opportunity to go at the end zone from like the 5-yard line. They end up kicking a field goal to go into half down 7, and it just felt different after that. And the game was close throughout after. The Bengals coaching seemed to be able to scheme a little bit of a faster passing game, so that and the O-line seemed to play better after the first quarter for the Bengals. But Kansas City kind of let them hang around. As Mahomes had just a ridiculous fumble where he's just throwing a ball and then completely lost it on the way up. Don't know what that was about.
I remember that.
And that they were up 7 already, and then I think that kind of let the Bengals into it late in the third quarter, I believe. But then Burrow also had late in the fourth threw in the double coverage while the game was tied. Throws in the double coverage for his second pick.
I remember that.
Both picks made no sense for Burrow.
Yeah, that was on that third. That was on. Yeah, it was on 3rd and 3. He arm punts it down, which I don't mean in a positive way. He arm punts it downfield, just whips it into double coverage. It gets picked off. Guy gets tackled fast enough, so you could say, oh, it's an arm punt, and you can say, oh, well, it's not that negative. Doesn't matter. But why were you throwing on the 60-yard streak route on the right side on 3rd and 3? In the fourth quarter, there was minutes left in the fourth. I'm trying to count at the time. There was less than half of the fourth quarter left. And that's what you're going to scheme up on 3rd and 3. I get trying to be ballsy. Sometimes they did it earlier. They had it work with Jamar Chase earlier.
On a 4th down, yeah.
On a 4th down. So sure, right? Do it occasionally. But I would have loved to see some drag route. Maybe I'm too much of a Madden head, not sponsored. But like I don't know, something worst case. Like I don't know. Like that was tough. That was tough. Whether it's play calling or whether it's Burrow, I don't know what it is, but something there has to change because they're taking these deep shots. I think he did the same thing on the second down, I believe as well. They had a 2nd and 3. They could not convert a 2nd and 3 on their own 36. It's not like red zone defense. Like it's on their own 36 couldn't convert a 2nd and 3. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, in conclusion, some of this comes down to these teams are really close. These defenses played really good, and who made less mistakes? Yeah. It just happened to be the Chiefs this game, although I still think that they definitely made some mistakes. Certainly with the O-line pressure, Joe Burrow did not play very up to his standard. And at the end of the day, the Bengals had the ball, 2 minutes left in the game, tied 20-20, and they had to punt that back to Kansas City with about 45 seconds left. And you know, when the Bengals had the ball with the 2 minutes left, I was like, wow, they just need a field goal. This thing is over. They're gonna basically run this thing out and kick a field goal, and they're gonna go to the Super Bowl. And but instead they had to punt it away. The offense couldn't get it done. Kansas City gets a big stop on defense. They were really the difference. And then of course Mahomes is actually able to get in the field goal range with a little bit of help from a late hit. With the Bengals.
What a nice end. What a perfectly anticlimactic ending as well. The fact, I mean, if it was a 60-yarder and they went like it's not, I don't hate game ending, like game winning end of game field goals. I like that. And if that was going to be a 60-yarder, which I think is what it would have been, 15-yard, it was a 45, moved back 15, it would have been 60. If it was a 60-yard, that would have been awesome, right? That would have been awesome. I'll be honest. Would have been awesome. But like when it's moved forward 15 yards out, it's a pretty easy field goal. For me, it goes from being this like classic, like an all-time classic sort of style ending, that game-winning field goal last second. It goes from being that to be like, okay, well, it's like nearly a chip shot. Obviously not. It's 45 yards. Isn't like that hard. I mean, isn't that easy? But it's like,
it's way different.
It's an everyday field goal.
Yeah. What are your thoughts about that?
Generally my thoughts on the game, I know, and I did in the last one, and I'm going to mention the refs, because I'm just Mr. Ref Boy, apparently. I'm always the one to mention the refs. Love the refs. This game, not particularly well officiated, I would say.
I would agree.
It did seem like a lot of the... It did seem... I saw some ticky-tacky penalties. A lot of the stuff felt like if it was a 50-50 call, or just a bad call, whatever it was, typically... the calls or lack thereof seem to go in the Chiefs' favor, which isn't to say that there weren't like that some of them aren't rightful. It wasn't to say that there weren't 50-50 calls that were true penalties, or 100% were. It was just kind of tough. A lot of the 50-50 stuff seemed to hurt the Bengals. That being said, I mean, for one thing, like you said, the fact that they had that 2-minute drill after the pass, I think it was Hayden Hurst or whoever it was, after they got out of that weird thing with the intentional grounding and whatever at the start, they got a long pass, got converted like the 3rd and 16, whatever it was, got out of bounds. At that point I was thinking, oh wait, like it's in the bag, and they should have had it in the bag. And that's why, even though there was some weird ref stuff, some block in the back, holding on the punt return, blah 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 blah, I can't blame that too much, and I still think the Chiefs played pretty well. And this is where I'm going to transition to the Chiefs. Or actually, finish the Bengals. Yeah, I thought the Bengals defense played pretty well, holding the Chiefs to only 23. For me, stuff like that, some of the maybe play calling, it may not be the coaches, so like whatever it was on offense, stuff wasn't fully clicking.
Can I touch on the referees before you go to Kansas City?
Oh yeah. Definitely.
And listen, on this one, there's no denying. I agree with you. There are some bad calls, and they went against the Bengals. I mean, first of all, what is going on with the run the 3rd down play for the Chiefs twice? What are we doing? You have an entire play out, and because he's waving his hands up at the top, like they didn't, and
they had like already lined up like the punt team, right? Like even after the play, like the 4th down, they were about to start playing the 4th down by the time they went back and were like, wait a second,
yeah, exactly. How do we let this happen? I mean, Zach Taylor was livid, rightfully so. It's like, that's just awful game officiating. Like, there's not even officiating. It's just like game, like it's literally your only job.
Yeah, it's like refereeing. I don't know. It's not even a call thing. It's not make a call. It just
And then there was some other calls, obviously, like the intentional grounding didn't make a lot of sense to me. It I guess I don't know exactly what the rules are, but I thought that P. Ryan was literally right in front of Joe Burrow when that got tossed. So like maybe it just didn't get close enough to P. Ryan. Pretty ticky tacky. But and the late hit out of bounds. Unfortunately, it was a clear late hit out of bounds. I didn't think it was. When I first saw it, I was like, "Oh man, they're gonna call that." Clearly, he's just running. Like it was like, but then you see, it's like Patrick Mahomes is definitely out of bounds.
Yeah. It was.
So, and then I don't know. I don't see. People.
It feels bad with the potential, or the reason it was. I mean, and I hate when quarterbacks run sideline and kind of I hate when a quarterback runs for the sideline. But I think for me, the bigger thing is that, because that was the right call. It's more like, I know a lot of people are mad that, okay, that's right. That's a bad call. But if you're going to call that, why don't you call the potential rough of the passer on Joe Burrow on an earlier, just like a couple minutes before? For me, I think that's what I think some of that.
Oh yeah, 100% agree.
Some of the upsetness.
100% agree. That's the consistency. Yeah. So go ahead about the Chiefs here.
Anyway, yeah, and that's what I say. Despite the penalty stuff, because there's also, I think there's weird stuff on the punt return, and I felt like I saw it live, potentially, which obviously helped set up the field goal with the other blah 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 blah. Anyway, even with that, the Chiefs, I still think at the end of the day, even with officiate, if you could have redone this game. I don't know how to phrase this. If you could have told me the level of play would get out of these two teams, then at the start, I would have taken the Chiefs.
Yeah.
At this point, and that's because let's look at some of the people that the Chiefs got out. Right, the Chiefs won despite having their cornerback L'Jarius Sneed out for the game early. That was an early injury for a veteran star cornerback for them.
And that meant that all the cornerbacks were rookies.
Rookies.
Were playing.
Yes.
Any player getting serious minutes at cornerback was a rookie for the Chiefs.
Yes, and that being big, right? I from the standpoint of now you have all rookies, but also of now you don't have the starter, but then from a cohesion, you don't have this veteran on the defense.
Yeah.
Which is also tough. They lost widers. They lost Kadarius Toney, Juju Smith-Schuster. Both got out this mid-game, not before the game, but mid-game Friday night or something. There was a thing with Kelsey's back potentially. There's a lot of stuff that when we did the podcast last week, I wouldn't have known would happen. If you told me last week all these guys, I think their middle linebacker got out this game. If you told me that they would have lost quarterback 1, wide receivers 1 and 2. I thought of some people saying they lost another wide receiver. Maybe I don't remember his name, but they're losing 2 top 3 wide receivers. They're losing their cornerback 1. I thought they lost their middle linebacker. Travis Kelce has a potential back injury. If you told me all that week 1, I would have taken the Bengals by 14 or more. I would have thought even the officiating was bad, but it wasn't 14 bad. I think the Bengals should have been able to do more with the offensively and defensively with the talent that was lost for Kansas City. I mean, on top of the fact that Mahomes' ankle and that whole thing. I'm ignoring that. Yeah. The fact that we did see evidence of that this game. There were moments where he would limp around a bit. There were some moments where it did impact him. So I think the fact that the Chiefs pulled that out, I think the fact that Chiefs pulled away, yes, reffing. And it was really it was impactful. I'm not discounting that, but they pulled it out with all these injuries. I mean, I think a lot of that's on them. It's on those rookies in the secondary stepping up. It's on Patrick Mahomes still playing amazing. It's on a lot of this stuff that they were going to run out of receivers the way the 49ers run out of quarterbacks. And they still won, right? They still won again. It's a similar thing. I care less about reffing when when these injuries things start to pile up. It's I don't want to point and cry too much about the refs because the Bengals should have won. They should have won, but it shouldn't have came down to this sort of thing where reffing can even make a difference because they should have been so much more dominant with some of their healthiness. And yes, their interior offensive line was hurt, which was big, but we knew they were hurt. They were hurt last week. That was something was going to be planned. Everyone knew that was going to happen, but the Chiefs did not have time to plan for losing all these receivers mid-game, losing Snead mid-game, like having they probably didn't know, they may not have known Kelsey's back was whatever until later. There's this stuff that was like new to them, right? It wasn't like, okay, we know our offensive line is going to be like this, let's plan accordingly. The Bengals had time to plan for their injuries. I don't think they had many mid-game injuries. The Chiefs did, and they overcame it, which for me does make it, despite the reffing stuff, makes it still a meaningful win to me. Makes it a meaningful, convincing, good, great win.
100%. And I think it's an excellent point with considering what Mahomes had available to him at the end of the game, while also being injured and outplaying Joe Burrow. I mean, that's just is what it is. I mean, I understand, like you said, you highlight the O-line issues, but Patrick Mahomes played considerably better than Joe Burrow in this game, and that's with a bum ankle. Playing about as hurt as you can possibly play at QB.
Yeah, high ankle sprain is like a serious injury. Yeah.
Yeah. So good. Yeah, I agree. Good on Kansas City. Yeah. Let's hit here our 7-10 awards talk. So we're gonna give out our own individual awards. I guess we'll start with speaking about the MVP race, which is not much of a race anymore. It's sort of a race for second place, maybe. But we're going to just quickly go through our ballots for MVP. We're also going to hit up Defensive Player of the Year, and then hit on some funnier ones like funniest press conference moments, player most likely to steal your girl, etc., etc. So, let's start with the MVP ballot. Jack, what do you got for your 5-person ballot? This is how the MVP is getting done.
For my 5? Yeah, I'd also pick Mahomes. I think a lot of people will. His season, 5,000-yard season, one of only a handful of players with multiple 5,000-yard seasons, has looked good, has led this team, a team that people were thinking, they got Juju Smith-Schuster, but they lost Tyreek Hill. And that's going to be, can they do it without Tyreek Hill? Mahomes, we saw it last year, cover two destroying Mahomes last year. And we saw it and we saw that, but nope, he came out, had a great season on a team that you might have thought would have less talent with the loss of Tyreek Hill, at least offensively. But nope, he plays great, has a great season, tons of yards. They only lose a couple of games, some of them to big teams. I know they lost to the Colts, but most of them lost to big teams. But generally, they won a lot of games. He's the best quarterback in the league, probably, I would say, healthy. I don't know. Yeah, I think he's just the best. I'll go through my full thing, or do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, go ahead. Go through.
Then I got Hurts number 2. If he played all the games, maybe. But really, if anything, for me, him missing games kind of helped a bit. The fact that he didn't miss many, because it shows me that this team was not nearly as electric without him. Right, they lost the 2 games towards the end of the season, or without him. I know they beat the Giants week 18, but because Giants sat their starters. Then I've got Joe Burrow. Because the early season there was some adversity on himself too, through 4 picks or something. But he bounced back. The Bengals proved, right? I think they proved even without the postseason stuff. Without that anything there, they proved that no, it was not a fluke. Last year was not a fluke. They deserve to be in that conversation. He deserves to be in the conversation about top quarterback. Fully showed that. The team did not have the same record as the Eagles. They didn't there were some much more struggles early on in the season and stuff. That's why I have him below Hurts. But yeah, then I got Josh Allen. He's obvious. For me here, It's tough, right? And it shows a real, maybe, depending how you interpret the award, maybe he should be MVP, not because he's the best, but because the team really does live or die on his play. He's often the leading rusher on that team. And he's just a massive part of that team. He's a massive part of the team, but at the same time, he had a lot of red zone turnovers. I don't have it pulled up, but they still continued having this thing, the Bills, where they would win blowout games, but then they would lose a lot of one-score games. I think there's a stat we saw at some point in the middle of the season. And he would just throw a lot of games away, which makes it, I can't put him above the other guys, because I don't feel like they've been throwing as many games away. So even though he's such an impactful part of his team, I put him there. And Justin Jefferson, great season. I'd have to check it. But like, I don't think he won the Triple Crown or anything, right?
No.
Like what was it? Yeah, like it wasn't like that. I mean, if Cooper Kupp didn't win it last year, then I don't think he's going to win it this year. Even though he had a great season, great catches, definitely different style, like that like amazing, right? Like he was amazing, but he's also a wide receiver, so it hurts him there. So unless he's going to be like record breaking, like he's on track to beat Jerry Rice, and unless it's looking like that, then I don't know. For me, it's tough to put a receiver above a quarterback. It's tough. It's a tough thing with the MVP award, but
100%. And for that reason, I refuse to put anything except QB on this ballot. You're not going to have a receiver win this award. You had Cooper Kupp. I don't think he got a single vote last year. Maybe he got one vote, and he won the Triple Crown. It's like one of the best receiving years we've seen in, I don't know,
and he was like 12 yards less than Calvin Johnson's single season receiving record.
Yeah, I mean, so
just another note. Yeah.
So I just won't I'm not putting it on there. I got Mahomes and Jalen Hurts for the same reason. It's pretty clear. Jalen Hurts, if he played the entire season, we could have seen something for a possible real conversation 1 and 2, but definitely Mahomes. He's played by far the best out of any QB. I'm going to go ahead, and then after that, here's the thing. If you said that, like, not the top 10 QBs you'd want to have, or that you would have for a season or a drive or a game, none of that. Just who were the top 10 QBs this last season? Who played the best? That list looks way, 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 way different than anyone would have expected, if you're being honest about it. Because that list doesn't really include Aaron Rodgers. That list doesn't include Tom Brady. That list doesn't include Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson. Like the people who had like a lot of production, the QBs that had a lot of production were very surprising. I think you can make a pretty sound argument for Jared Goff being a top 10 QB this year. And except even with Dak being out, I don't know how Dak is, not around that 10-15 area, right? Like, because you have to make the list of people who go above him.
Future 49ers quarterback Dak Prescott, you mean?
Maybe. Everyone is the future quarterback for the 49ers.
Sorry.
But so everybody knows I got to give some respect to my boy Geno Smith, considering what the expectations were for the Seattle Seahawks. Sure, yeah, he did have quite a bit of help at wide receiver. And he's not the sole reason for their success. In fact, oftentimes he was the reason for their failure, throwing late game picks and stuff. But we don't penalize Josh Allen for that. He's still on your list, right? So I'm going to put Geno Smith there. Then I'm going to put Joe Burrow, because I think he's the second best QB in the league. And I think he showed it this year, especially with some O-line problems, still them winning considerably. And that last pick, honestly, you can give it to a lot of people. I think it's pretty reasonable to give it to Josh Allen, but I think it's interesting how you said, like, and I agree with you that, like, Josh Allen is the MVP in the sense that, like, his play determines whether the Buffalo Bills win. But, like, it's like that is juxtaposed to the idea that, like, coming into the season, the Bills were supposed to be, like, the best roster in the league.
Yeah.
Offensively, defensively. And still it comes down to Josh Allen throwing games away late. Like, I don't understand how that could be possible. And so which is true? Are they a stout juggernaut team? Obviously, I know that there was some injuries that happened for the defense that late in the season kind of hurt them. By the end of the season, definitely hurt them. But I just wonder, it's like, these things can't be true. You can't have, like, the supposedly the best roster in the league going into the season, and then it's just still coming down to Josh Allen throwing picks or TDs at the end of games. So you could put Josh Allen there. Put Kirk Cousins there. I know you have Justin Jefferson. The dude throwing in the rock is Kirk Cousins. Oh, but Kirk Cousins can't get it done in big games. Sorry, dude was 11-1 or 13-1 or something in one-score games this season. Some of those were in prime time. Sure, he didn't play good against the Giants, but what are you going to do? Dayball and Danny Dimes? Put Danny Dimes on this list. He played pretty good this season. Lowest turnover ratio of anybody. I mean, honestly, I'm not saying he's a top 5 QB. I'm just saying that list is, and I would say, okay, let's put Justin Herbert in the top 5. He had a really great statistical season. They're barely in the playoffs, and then he can't score like a single point in the second half, or he scores 3 points in the second half to lose to Jacksonville. Like, what are we doing? I mean, I guess that's postseason, but still,
yeah,
they lost a lot of games. I'm just gonna say that Justin Herbert, they still lost a lot of games. So I don't know if I can.
Yeah, I would. One caveat just on my list. I didn't realize we were freestyling it. I took my players off of like the actual MVP finalists, which is why I probably wouldn't have put Jeffrey. I mean, I probably would have still kept that 4 the way it was. I would have still kept that for the first 4. I would have put in someone over Jefferson. Don't know. I'd have to think on that. I'd have to think on that.
Listen, this is 7-10, dude. This is just reasonable analysis.
We're free balling.
We do whatever we need to do. Don't put us in a box, man. What do you got for Defensive Player of the Year?
Defensive Player of the Year? I mean, I also looked at the 3-person ballot of this. Yeah. Doesn't impact my answer because I was going to pick one of them. I'm picking Chris Jones of the Kansas City Chiefs. And this is even regular season. He had a great game last night against the Bengals, but I'm not even counting that. I mean, for one thing, he's having like one of the best seasons of his career. Coming out Bengals coming out like this season. He was I have it pulled up. 4th in sack count. He was 3 behind Nick Bosa, who had 18.5 in the regular season. He had 15.5. But as an interior defensive lineman, on a team who I feel like does not have a ton of other edge pressure, they had they had a rookie like they have some stuff, but here I'm trying to pull this up. They have one top 49 player in sack count. Let's check this again. Okay, they have some other guys further down. Their second leading sack guy was George Karlaftis, the rookie, like 28th or something pick in the draft last year. He came out and he had 6 sacks. Or Frank Clark had 5 sacks. But he was the rock of this Kansas City defense that I thought played pretty well all season. Who even in games against say the Chargers that were tough, the game against the Bengals that they lost in the regular season. Like I feel like those were relatively low short games. I feel like he was definitely a rock on this defense. A defense without a whole lot of other guys I would call stars. I was talking about Snead earlier, the cornerback, but it's not like he's like a star cornerback. It's not like I'm saying, oh yeah, we got Jair Alexander, we got Jalen Ramsey, we got Snead. It's not like that. It's like he's really like the biggest piece on this defense. So I feel like for me that bumps him up on my radar as well. The fact that he's getting this many sacks, having this much pressure on the inside as an inside rusher, as well as the fact that the team doesn't have as much, and that he's leading that defense in a lot of ways. And I mean, and the fact that they were also the 1 seed, right? They were the 1 seed in the AFC, so like that defense leading to real game-winning results as well. But
you know what, I like that pick a lot. And for similar reasoning, I'm going to go ahead with a guy named Hassan Reddick. Because listen, I mean, no matter how you cut it, the guy is the sack leader from the linebacker position. I understand that he's rushing the QB a lot, but this guy's a linebacker, so he's attached to the secondary and the defensive line. Sort of being, he's
like a 3-4 linebacker. Probably,
yeah, so sort of being a sort of a bridge and a communicator. He can play coverage, and I think similarly, there's a super talented Eagles defense for sure. There's lots of guys getting lots of sacks. I mean, it was the most. They had 70 sacks in the year, so I understand that maybe to a certain extent, he wasn't the bulk like Chris Jones was. But I mean, how do you argue with that type of production in terms of sacks from a linebacker? I mean, come on, really? Technically a linebacker. So
hey,
I'm going to give it to him.
This guy going technically.
I think you could give it to both.
Judon's a linebacker. Judon's a linebacker too. I'm just being toxic. But yeah,
Judon's a linebacker.
I know. I know what you're saying, though. I know. I'm picking up what you're putting.
I'd have to look at his percentage that he lines up on the line. Maybe he's lining up 90% of the line. Like Micah Parsons is still technically a linebacker, but he's been rushing almost the entire season. So maybe that's not as much of a factor.
I'll look at 5 forced fumbles. He's forced 5 fumbles this season.
There you go.
Pretty good as well. That's
good hands.
Pretty
good
big
hands.
Stat.
But all right, let's get into the more fun stuff to wrap up the podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. What do we got for funniest press conference moment of the year, Jack?
No.
Go ahead and get this.
Let's open this up. I hope I'm not copying yours. I hope I'm not taking this from you here. But it was hilarious because I rewatched it, of course, for this. If I'm bringing it for the awards, I gotta rewatch it. Not doing this off memory, but rewatching the Ron Rivera "we can get eliminated" conference. That's because when you first told me this, I thought it was I don't know. I thought it went differently. I thought it was more of a joke. I thought there wasn't after he's told, right? He's asked by a reporter, like, oh, how do you feel like getting eliminated today? Whatever it was. And he sits there for good, 2-3 seconds. He's he's kind of like, wait, we can be eliminated today?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, and the reporter's like, yeah, if the Packers beat the Lions, whatever it was, if this happens, you get eliminated. But the fact that he did not know that he could get eliminated, he genuinely did not know. I thought it was like it was just straight up like he's told the reporter's the first one to tell him. He doesn't know in the first place. No one's told. The fact that he's hearing this and is buffering, like as if they're you're about to see the Mac spinning wheel, not sponsored, spinning wheel of death over his head, doing the calculations. Wait, what? We can get eliminated, huh? For a starting head coach,
and he's a good coach.
For a starting head coach of a good coach of a team that was in the playoff race. And I say that saying this isn't like a team who was kind of squeaking in. Like, oh, the Panthers could have squeaked in and beat out the Bengals for the 4th seed. No, this is a team who for a lot of the seat they were 7-4 or 7-5 at some point. This is a team that that I would have taken to make the playoffs over the Giants, probably over some other teams anyway. Yeah. There was a moment. It was wait, the Giants. We were talking about all NFC East teams might make it. I thought they would make it. At least I thought they had a pretty good chance of it. And their coach is out here saying, "Oh, what?" I don't know.
That's funny. What about you? That's a good one. I did not go with that one. I thought you would know what I was pegged for right away. But if you want more analysis on Jeff Saturday, we've got plenty of videos up on the channel. Go and check them out. But I got to go with the funniest press conference moment is sort of Jeff Saturday. I believe it was in the second or third press conference. Maybe it was in the original first one. But at some point, he's clearly defending himself because he's definitely heard some of the murmurs of why are you the head coach, right? Like you have no experience type of thing. And he's defending himself. And he says, quote, "None of us are promised anything. None of us are promised a good job. I may be terrible at this. And after 8 games, I'll say, God bless you. I am no good. But I may be really good. I got no idea." This man, he literally says, first of all, none of us are promised a good job, except you've been given this good job for no reason. But now you have it. You don't even know if you're going to be any good. You literally say, who wants a head coach going up there saying,
confidence,
am I going to be good? I got no idea, man. But you know what? I'm going to give it my all.
No.
It's I guess that's true to a certain extent for everybody at every job.
Okay, Jared, it's called humility. Okay? he's just a humble guy.
He's a humble guy. Yeah,
humble man of the people. Humble man of the people. Okay.
Yeah.
Rah.
If he's going to be honest, he might as well just say, "Hey, I think this is stupid too. I don't understand it."
Hey, I realize your complaints. I'm underqualified. Blah 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 blah. But yeah, that's tough.
No
I mean, first of all, starting out kind of philosophical, kind of existential. Oh, really, none of us are promised anything in life, are we? That, and then transitioning it to the I might be good, I might be bad. What am I supposed to know? What you told me, huh? That's pretty good.
All right, let's go to player most likely to steal your girl. What do we got, Jack?
Now, I got to work through this one. Right? So step one, I've been seeing. I saw a couple times it appeared on like my Instagram feed, like suggested of that old clip. I think from the Vikings or something, where they're asking a bunch of Vikings players who they wouldn't let date their sister or something like that. And every dude is saying Stephon Diggs.
Oh yeah,
everyone. And then they cut to him, and he's like, "Wait, what? Me? Why are they saying that?" And but then I saw this season, like earlier in the season, like he did like with Von Miller. He was on like a podcast, like Von Miller's podcast or something, and Von Miller asked him a similar question, like oh no, you know what? He asked him, "Who on this team would you want to date your sister?" And he was like, like Von Miller starts, Dawson Knox, and then he was like, yeah, he's nice. And he thought, someone else who I now forget. Like he named someone else who I now forget. But they were doing that. And but first, Stephon Diggs was like, you know what? No, I want to do who I wouldn't want to date my sister. And he said, I wouldn't want to date my sister? Gabe Davis. So Stephon Diggs, this guy with a reputation, right? Everyone on the Vikings is saying no, anyone but Diggs. Everyone's saying that. I gotta think Diggs knows who the bad cats are, right? Right, who are going out looking to steal people's girls, right?
Okay.
Who are on the prowl, who players, He's got to know, right? Everyone's calling him that. I think he's got to know too, right? He's got to know who to point to, and that's why I'm going Gabe Davis. Random answer.
Hey,
barely even know what Gabe Davis looks like. Don't even know if he's attractive or not. But. Right, I trust the process. It's about trusting the I trust Diggs.
Yeah,
Excellent. Don't think I trust him with my girl, but I trust Diggs to tell me who not to trust my girl with.
Excellent point.
Yeah, that's
excellent deep dive research there. That's what you're going to get on 710 when we do these types of important segments. Okay, we're going to bring the heat, and of course, I'm going to go with the more favorite in this category, but. It's because he's basically already stolen all our girls. And that's why they're tuning in. Oh, has your girl taken a liking to football all of a sudden this season? Maybe specifically Bengals games? Do we have any idea why? Right? Maybe it's because of that slick, cool Joe Burrow. Joe Burr.
Ice cold.
It feels cold when your girl is getting stolen by, Joey Ice. All right. Maybe, since the Super Bowl run, he's gotten more popular, obviously, a little bit more in the limelight. I mean, he was huge at LSU too. Girls knew him then, because he was a champion. And what can I say with those? He's got those kind of light grayish, maybe blue eyes, and he's just kind of looks like me a little bit, So,
which is why he could steal your girl, because he kind of looks like you if you were like a pro quarterback,
right? If I had like a $300 million deal on the way, and I was 5 inches taller and hotter, and more successful, I would, definitely. Like it's really like I wouldn't blame her, is what I'm trying to say. But 100% got to go with Joe Burrow. He will steal your girl. So let's move to.
I've been hearing other I feel like I've been hearing talk about if your girl's getting into football more, it's because of Joey B.
100%.
Gabe Davis looks old for a 23-year-old. I don't know what it is. Dude looks like he's 30. Dude, I don't. Maybe it's the beard. I think it's the beard. Like if I cover the top of his face, I don't know if you can see, but I'm physically covering the top half of his face. Bottom half, he's got like a bit of a LeBron beard. He's got a bit of a LeBron James beard. So I think it's that association. I'm associating that sort of beard with LeBron James. So I'm thinking, damn, this dude's like 40. This guy's old, but he's only 23. But
he's got a nice beard.
Had to check that.
Most embarrassing moment, just in general. Over the season, I got lots, man. I got a lot. What do you got?
Funnily enough, I did not write that down an answer for this. I skipped this one. However, I got one teed up anyway, right? Of course, and that's got to be. It's got to be for me. The Patriots the Patriots, they call a draw, right? End of the game against the Raiders. They call a run play because it's going to go to overtime, right? So they're like, okay, well, we'll try. We got a good running back. We'll try this. We'll try. May as well run the game out. Game wasn't over yet. Try that. Stevenson laterals it to Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers, after running a while, Jacoby Myers wants to extend the play. He's not done. So this dude throws it 20 yards backwards the other way, not laterals. Lateral's a lateral. That's sideways. No, we're not talking side. We're talking 20, 25 yards down, like the other way, upfield. And then directly into Chandler Jones, the ex-Patriots' hands. He catches it. He just sends Mac Jones to the shadow realm. He just stiff arms him to the ground and then runs to the end zone for the touchdown with 0 seconds left, right? Because
all while the game was
the end of the game. All while the game was tied. Exactly. The game was going to go to overtime. This is a game crucial to the Patriots' playoff race. If they win this game, they would have made the playoffs. I think they had the tiebreaker over Miami. Yeah, no, they did, because if they won the last week 18, then they would have made. So if they won this game, I'm pretty sure they make the playoffs. But they don't. So yeah, I mean,
that was institutionally embarrassing on a single player level. It was embarrassing for Mac Jones and Jacoby Myers. Just really embarrassing, certainly. I'm gonna have a runner up here because I got these two plays I got to talk about. They're both from former Patriots quarterbacks. So it looks like we have a theme here, actually. First one, Tom Brady. We got the Buccaneers versus Seattle. We're in the red zone, and Tom Brady goes out to the wide receiver position. Fournette gets the ball on the snap, goes for the bomb on the go route to Tom Brady, severely underthrows him. Tom Brady slips on his ass, and then it's intercepted. It's intercepted by the cornerback. I
remember that. I thought that was closer to working than I would have thought with Brady out at receiver.
Yeah.
Older than Jerry Rice at receiver. Yeah.
Definitely I don't know what Fournette saw or man, that just must have been a bad pass. I don't know what. But
how could they have schemed that for Brady? How is that anything but a diversion? Because they covered Brady, right? Like you said, it got intercepted. It wasn't like they left him uncovered. Yeah.
Brady's feet literally going out from under him as he's like running, and he tries to like stop, and he just like completely falls. So that's my runner up. But I gotta go with, unfortunately, Jimmy Garoppolo. They're backed up on their own goal line. He needs to make something happen. He's getting pressured in the end zone. Maybe could be a safety. He proceeds to step out of the back of the end zone, not like with any awareness. Like he still thought he was playing. He sort of loses track of where he is as the pressure's coming at him, and he throws like to a check down, which is at this point 10 yards away from him, but it's basically at like the 2-yard line. That check down it's the play is over. It's a safety has already occurred because he walked out of the background, but he still throws it because he thinks it's still a live play. Yeah. That gets intercepted and ran back for like 6. And that is the most embarrassing thing. That the safety, it's actually good that he got the safety because like somehow you'd want to decline the safety. You would want to decline the safety if that was possible for Denver. But because it turned into a pick 6.
Oh, it was that game. Yeah. I remember that play. Yeah, I remembered the play, but I forgot it was against Denver.
Yeah. So that's
gross.
That was definitely it for me, man. That was a good one. So what do we got for the biggest disappointment of the year? This can be player, team, whatever.
There's definitely some others. A quick runner-up, I would say, would just generally be the Broncos, whether it's Russell Wilson or Nathaniel Hackett, like whatever it is, generally Broncos. I think I still took them to be last in division, but it was still a disappointment. I'd definitely say league-wise, it was a disappointment. My biggest, though, and I know it's recent, it could be recency bias, but I was so looking forward to that 49ers-Eagles game. I was really looking for. I was gonna nerd out over it because it was gonna be this line play, this scheme. It was gonna be all that, and then the 49ers run out of quarterbacks. Like no Jimmy G to come in there. Not even a Josh Johnson. Not even a Josh Johnson for good measure. Not even like they got a dude like Bailey Zappi. Not even like they got a dude like a Chad Henne or a Gardner Minshew or who are some other, I can't even think of other backups right now. But like it's not like that. Teddy Bridgewater or whoever was playing most of the season with for the Browns. Was it Jacoby Brissett?
Jacoby Brissett, yeah.
I think that not like there's so many dudes could have been in there. They ran out. You don't even get that. You get Josh Johnson. You don't even get Josh Johnson. You don't get anything. That for me was a big disappointment because it's an NFC Championship game, right? Right. This isn't like week one. Oh, the team forgot to sign a backup and their starter gets hurt. Like it's not like some sort of wacky thing. This is NFC champion game before the Super Bowl. Cowboys haven't been to this game in over 25 years. That's how big of a game this is. And they run out of quarterbacks. Just tough for me. Disappointing for me.
Yeah, no, I hear that. And I obviously think everyone was a little disappointed about how that went. I'm going to have to go with, as a runner-up, the Raiders. I had pretty high hopes for the Raiders. I'd like them as a playoff team. And now they're going to trade Derek Carr. They basically said today, I think that he can go ahead and seek a trade.
Yeah.
Technically. But yeah, I got to go with the Denver Broncos. You make that massive trade in the offseason. For some reason, a bunch of people who say they're smart football guys were saying Denver is a made-ready team. And I guess the defense was really good for about half the season until they just gave up more or less. But then their back half of the season was not super impressive. But they did really look really, really good to start the season defensively, but offensively they were a mess. The head coach clearly had some growing pains as well. Russell Wilson played about as bad as anyone has played. And so it was just a disaster. Now the head coach is gone. Russell Wilson they're kind of stuck with him there with this deal. And they also proceeded to trade away players at the deadline. So it's kind of it's a mess. Similarly, the Raiders are as well, but this was just much bigger considering the amount of hype. Which neither of us
for the
believed
league wide, because neither of us bought the hype, but league wide there was a lot of hype. Yeah,
right. So
it was a massive trade. It was what was it? I think it was like 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, like a 5th round, and a bunch of players too.
Swaps,
like Noah Fant, the tight end, pretty good tight end. Not pretty good, but he's a decent, he serviceable tight end. But the Broncos wish they had him over Jake Ferguson. I don't know who their tight end was. Maybe that's a Seahawks tight end. But yeah.
And now our final award goes to worst officiating. Which lots of opportunities for this. What do we got?
Lots of opportunities. Well, really for me, this is Jared. You asking me this is like if you asked me, Jack, what's your favorite type of chips? Right? Because you know I love chips.
Yeah.
You know I love salty snacks. Okay. It's like that. What's your favorite ice cream? You know? But it's negative. So for me, it's like asking like who's your favorite serial killer? Or like, you know, like or not who's your favorite, but like who's the worst? Who's your least favorite? Right. Which is, and it's like, well, geez, a lot of them. Wow, it's hard to pick. There's so many. So, I mean, for me, as a Patriots fan, I really did not like the way that Week 18 was coached. And for me, I think I'm going to have to go with the kind of homerism there. I know the Raiders Patriots was not good either because they shouldn't have even got to that wacky, the thing I just said a couple minutes ago, shouldn't have even gotten to that point with the weird, embarrassing play with the laterals. There was a touchdown pass that should have been ruled incomplete. It was very close. It was close. I'll definitely give him that, but it was like his foot was out of bounds, and they didn't see that, didn't have the footage, whatever. But I think I gotta go Patriots Bills on the homerism, just because I remember that better than there've been a lot of bad games. I know Bills Vikings wasn't very well officiated. There was the catch that they did not review. There was towards the end of the game, should have reviewed it, did not review it. Was not a catch. At a point the Bills had 12 men, like straight up had 12 men on the field, on like the goal line, on like a goal line play, for the Vikings offense. and the Bills had 12 people in the box, 12 men in the box. So that wasn't good, but I think I got to go Patriots. I could also think about like the stakes, about like how high stakes, and I could say something like, oh, I could say Bengals Chiefs, and maybe because of the stakes, like, but for one of where, frankly, I might argue either of the two championship games, but like you could point to the championship games because of the high stakes, and I'd understand that, but I think just because I remember it better, I remember being very upset about Patriots Bills. That was still whether the Patriots make the playoffs or not. So it still was impactful.
Hey, listen, you're a
yeah,
Patriots
I'm gonna go with that.
Hey, that's okay.
Yeah, I don't.
Listen, yeah, everyone knows. Even though the amount of 49ers content, you'd think that we're West Coasters, but we're East Coast boys.
I've liked talking about them. That's
100%, 100%.
And at some point, yeah.
Worst officiating. It's funny how you bring up the stakes. I'm a talk about two teams where the stakes didn't matter at all. But to me, it was the culmination of so many things that made it certainly the worst of officiating. It had a little bit of everything for everyone if you're into that. So I'm going to go to Panthers versus Browns. We're going on the 2-minute drive. I think the game is tied or the Panthers are up 1 or something like that. But it's a close game. It's sort of deciding the game. The Browns are on a late 2-minute drive. No timeouts. They're running out of time. The clock is ticking. The guy gets tackled in bounds. They're kind of in field goal range. It's going to be a long field goal. But they don't have any timeouts. So they're rushing up to the line to spike the ball. And Brissett gives it the old double pump, so to speak. He pretends to spike the ball for some reason. I don't know why. And then spikes the ball. This is illegal and against the rules. You can't fake a spike. Or you can't fake a spike and then do a spike. If you fake a spike, you have to run the play.
And then pass.
And so you can't like double pump on the spike. I don't know why you'd want to do that anyway, but it's a rule.
Yeah,
it's just a weird rule. For whatever reason. So they throw the flag on it, right? This is at the end of the game. They're like right at the edge of field goal range. I think it like ended up being like the actual field goal ended up being like 60 yards or something. And so they're like, this is like big, right? So they're going to give him a 5-yard penalty. Then for some reason, the ref goes up there and Lily says, like, there is no penalty. Like the quarterback faked the spike and then spiked the ball. That's literally what he says over the intercom, which is that's the penalty. That's the penalty. You can look it up. And he explains exactly what the penalty is, then says we're picking up the flag. And then they run out the field goal unit, they kick the field goal, they win. The Browns win. On a 60-yard, Cade York kicks the field goal. Check it out.
Ain't easy. I remember that now.
Yeah, check that out. It's just it's the audacity. I think it's just the audacity.
Exactly. It's just so it's so outright. It's not like a case. Oh well. I can see. Well, it's not the ref's job to initiate to initiate a review on this play. Like say the one in the 49ers Eagles, or the one you could like in the Bills Viking, like the kind of catch. It's not really a catch. Well, you could say, oh well, you got a challenge or whatever. Blah blah blah. It's not like that. It's not like it's not like it's a good call, but it's ticky tacky. Like some of the holdings, pass interferences we've seen this season. It's not like those.
It's just downright bad.
He just goes up, says, "Here's like, hey, he committed this penalty." He picks up the flag, walks away.
Check it out. Check it out. It was a good one, honestly. So, all right. Well, this was a good episode. We obviously had a lot to talk about the championship games. Next week, we're going to do a full breakdown and prediction of the Super Bowl. And then basically maybe we'll talk a little bit about whatever's going on with the Pro Bowl. And then it could be fantastic. We'll see.
It could be. I'll watch it. Right. I don't think I'm doing anything that Sunday. I'll have it on. Honestly, probably more entertaining. Flag foot, like the fact that it's like they've committed to. It's not like last year where it was kind of like, well, teams like it's fine, but it's like not.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, like no one's tackling, but it's still like
Funny
what's
thing
happening?
Is, it's like
this is committing to it.
It's committing to like the no tackling, which is good, but also it's like guys can still like tear their ACLs playing flag football. Like it's not like
That's
it's
true.
like so.
Yeah.
I don't know, but if it's great, maybe we'll have a flag football league.
Hey.
It should be fun. But yeah,
I want to see the Mannings out there.
Yeah, it'll
not coaching. I want to see him. I want to see him on the field.
Pete Davidson's out there coaching. What the heck's going on? Yeah, and then we'll be talking about the Super Bowl, of course, and making our predictions. So, unfortunately, Jack, your playoff bracket was busted. I was going to make a ridiculous super cut of you being correct, but unfortunately, I had to get the old 2-0 this week. I finally got a win.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey,
it happens.
Hate to see 0-2.
Yeah, but other than that, I think we're going to wrap this up. Thanks for watching 710 Sports with
Jack
and Jared. We will see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Like and subscribe on YouTube.
That's right, like and subscribe.
On Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Hey, drop a comment.
Hey, shout out to those listening to the outro.